1 week ago, something horrific happened. I didn't know until I ended my life. And then someone reached out to me and she said, "Have you heard it?" And what she was talking about was a huge explosion followed by a fire. 6 people lost their lives. We're talking about 4 apartment buildings, well, actually 5. One apartment building didn't have any residents at that moment because they were traveling around the world. And as for the other 4 people, at least 1 person died per apartment. And, well, a number of others managed to survive. And then there was also a cafe below in the basement. And there were 2 other people who survived too. So 6 dead and 4 survivors in the hospital. And then there's one more, which is an 8-year-old boy who is now missing his mom, his dad, and his 17-year-old sister. You can imagine that this made an impact on me. Why? Because I knew the neighborhood. I go there like 2-3 times a week, sometimes more often. I go there to the physical therapist, and a friend of mine lives close by. I pick up her kids at daycare. So yeah, looking at the footage, it was like, well, that's an exact replica of where I go to the physical therapist. It was really unbelievable. So my friend, she had heard all these sirens. She actually could feel, she could hear the explosion. And then she heard all these sirens and she couldn't pinpoint straight away where it was coming from. And then at some point she realized that it wasn't at her place. And pretty quickly, actually, all the paramedics, the fire, the fire trucks, everyone came to their aid. Not only them, the one who is familiar with explosions, the one who know where to rescue people, or better said, how to rescue people using dogs. All the emergency services were there. People were called on to stay at the hospital and to keep working. So they had predicted that there would be about 20 people who would be victims. So victims could be either in the hospital or died. And in the end, it was only 10, which was partly because one family was not around. And a lot of people have been wondering, why on earth would someone do it? And why this impact? So for the record, this was not only limited to 5 apartment buildings and 2 shops, well, 1 shop and 1 cafe. We're talking about 19 apartment buildings in total and a number of shops underneath. It's unimaginable. I got to see it, and then it was a little less unimaginable. It looked a lot like what I had seen on video, but I still had to see it for myself. And well, since I was at the physical therapist, I was like, okay, I'm going to go and walk on and see what's going on. So there was this restriction for people from outside of the neighborhood. They were not allowed in there. Only residents and people who needed to be there were allowed. So it happened, like I said, a week ago. Local time, it was 6:15 in the morning on a Saturday morning. So a lot of things did happen on Saturday and on Sunday, but there were also a lot of things that couldn't be arranged until Monday. Now, they said that after Monday afternoon, we were allowed to go into that area again. Actually, it had been extended till Friday. On Tuesday afternoon, I was at the physical therapist. And since I walk in the neighborhood regularly because I need to walk, I know the neighborhood. It's like I said, my friend, her kids go to daycare there and to school. And well, I picked them up every now and then. And well, there are so many things I do over there because I come there so many times during the week. What I didn't expect, I could have expected it, but what I wasn't prepared for was to see the look on all the faces from all of those people. So, yes, I work with a lot of people who are traumatized. I work with a lot of people. I've helped them to get new houses to live. So I know what it's like when you cannot stay at your place any longer. But now we are talking about people who, from one moment to the next, were left with nothing. They couldn't go inside their house. A lot of people, they went out in their PJs. The people across the street, they saw it happen. If they didn't see it happen, they felt it happen. It was like an earthquake for those people. Some thought it was an earthquake, others thought it was the war that had started. But they could feel the entire building shake, the ceiling, the floor, everything was shaking. And a number of people, they still sleep with their clothes on. And children are afraid because they are like, are we going to be the next one who are going to be attacked? And then, of course, there's this 8-year-old boy. So a number of people I know and people they knew had heard the boy calling. And initially, it was hard to hear whether it was a boy or a girl. So a lot of people thought it was a girl calling out for mom and to be helped. And it was actually a little boy. And I talked to the people who wanted to run into the fire to save the little boy. And they knew the structure was about to collapse on them. And the one I spoke to specifically, he was like, I'm going to die, but I have to save this kid. The ones who came to the rescue, like the paramedics and the people from the fire station, the police, they didn't let him go in. And they had to try really hard because he kept going in. Adrenaline was running high. Even when I was talking to him so many days later, he was still high on adrenaline. He was talking over and over, which was good. It was, I was willing to listen to what he had to share. And it was hard for him because he had seen it all. He had seen it all. He had seen it all from the people standing there till the moment that he was indoors and boom. And it wasn't just one explosion. There were like 2 or 3 small ones. And then came the big one, like 5 to 10 seconds after. So a lot of us are wondering, was this meant to be this big, so devastating. I mean, we have more explosions, unfortunately, over here. A lot of teenagers get hired to set off explosions by means of firework. Usually, there are no victims. But what I didn't hear was that there would be an entire collapse because of this. So yes, we've had a collapse of buildings not too long ago. Well, actually, it's already a few years ago. But that was because of a gas explosion. But this was revenge. This was on purpose. So they've already arrested like 4 people now. They are in lockup. They cannot talk to anyone. And they're trying to get to the bottom of everything. What we know by now is that one shop was the target. Of course, those owners weren't there. I mean, we're talking about a Saturday morning, early morning. That shop is closed. And, well, the car of the same owner had been lit up as well. So the connection was quickly made. I mean, the car was like 16, 30 feet away at least. So it didn't make sense. It was the stories afterwards which were heartbreaking. First of all, let me repeat again. It was, the moment that an entire building structure collapses and it's gone. I mean, we had the Bijlmer ramp like decades ago. I remember there was a plane which was in trouble, which flew into one of the neighborhoods in Amsterdam, the Bijlmer. And that left an open hole where that building had been. Many lives got lost. Of course, we know about 9/11, when also due to plane and also due to an attack, so many people lost their lives. And there was a gaping hole too. And now here, the place where I go to multiple times a week, there's a gaping hole too. When I got to talk to the people, some you could see the sadness in their eyes. Like, why? Why did this have to happen? Why? And then there were others who were still alive, but had lost it all. So they were able the day before to go in and to get some stuff escorted by police officers. But apart from that, all of a sudden, it was like close. Some didn't even have their phone. They had to call the insurance company. They would ask, how bad is it? Are your walls still standing? How much damage is there? And, well, electricity has been shut down, so they don't really know. But apart from that, it's from one moment to the next. It's not only sheer terror, but it's like my life has changed completely. So if you were someone you like to go for a walk, do your own thing, gone. Where are you going to stay? Where are you going to go? Well, fortunately, the municipality was doing a great job. The mayor came over and he assured everyone that they would be able to get to stay somewhere else. So they had to go to some place where they all collected all the people. But it took a while before we actually knew whether or not people were missing. And the reason behind it was not that the municipality didn't know how many people lived in each apartment building, but because there were friends, for instance. And like in that cafe, the bartender and his girlfriend, they were downstairs. After the shift, it was nice to play a little, relax a little, maybe sleep a few hours before they would leave. And well, they were actually rescued by this machine, a gambling machine. So they were in luck because everything fell down when it came to rubble onto the top of that machine. But yes, one family, both parents, the big sister, leaving a little boy behind. Now, there have been donations. Actually, there have been 2 GoFundMe there were 2, there still are 2 GoFundMe links to go to. One is for the people in general who have lost their homes. And up till now, it's close, it's over 630,000 euros. So that's about the same in dollars, a little bit more in dollars. And for the boy, since he's Asian, he's actually Chinese, there's a huge Chinese community in The Hague. Well, there's actually a whole Indonesian community too, And well, they stood up for the boy, and they already collected like 86,000 euros. So that's a lot of money for all the people combined. This neighborhood is a neighborhood which is close. And that's what struck me. I mean, it was weird because, multiple friends of mine had either experienced it or they knew people who had seen it all happen. They had seen the explosion. They had seen the collapse. They had heard the child screaming. They had heard the sirens for hours on end. So people were not only full of adrenaline, but they were like, oh my God, is this possible? Is this really possible that this happens? Well, we know from the 2 other examples, well, actually the 3 other examples, that these things do happen. As for the other family, one of the people is a volunteer. He is very loved by everyone. She made it into the hospital, but she's comatose. And her husband, he didn't make it. Another apartment, there was someone who had a friend over. The friend didn't make it. The resident did. Then there's a 4th apartment, I think, that person didn't make it at all. And as far as I can tell, it was an exchange student actually from Italy. He was here to learn to cook all over the world. Very happy person. And well, apartment building number 5, like I said, they were on a trip around the world, or they are. So, well, luckily for them, they have everything that matters with them. The not so good thing is, of course, where are they going to go to afterwards? But like I said, the municipality has done a lot of stuff, and the corporations which are responsible for all the buildings, for all the living, for people who need to hire buildings, apartments, well, they have managed to come up with some extra buildings you were supposed to be temporary. But well, there's something they can go to. That Tuesday, I walked over to the community center and I said, are there things that you need? And while I was there, I saw people walking in, totally lost. And it was like, we need to meet up with someone from the insurance company, but where? Yeah, you want food? Yeah, I would like some food, but problematic. Well, just check the fridge. Maybe there's something in there. Yeah, but how am I going to heat it up? I've got nothing. So I said, well, the reception at the hotel probably has something for you. So, and the people who couldn't stay with friends or other people or family, they would go to a hotel for the next few days. Realizing how life can change from one moment to the next. And I'm aware of this. Please note that I am very aware that every day can be your last day. I think I actually said it like last week still. Like, live your life to the fullest and make as most of your life as possible, because you do not know what's going to happen. And yes, for these people, it was true. They didn't see it coming. Now, like I said, it was all an act of revenge. We don't know what the person has done. The rumor mill was going, well, there were all these assumptions about what it should have been or would have been. And, well, we don't know yet. We just know that it's directed towards that owner. Why, we don't know. But I have to say, there's a lot of communication going on. Every day, there's a little something in the newspapers or online. It started at first with videos from cameras near the front doors, where you could actually see what was happening with explosions. The small ones where there was little debris, and then all of a sudden, boom, the big one, lots of debris flying past the cameras of the door. A look inside one of the apartments, there was a cat, and the cat got startled. And, well, because everything was shaking, the cat was sitting up like, oh my God, what's happening over here? Didn't understand one bit what was going on. So yes, people lost their pets too. As far as I can tell, there are 4 cats that got lost. And, well, the people who still have their pets, they had to come up with a place where they could stay in quarantine. And the question, of course, is where they are going to stay. They cannot take them to the hotel. Can they stay with friends? Can they stay with their new house, apartment, wherever they're going to end up? So many questions. And there was someone who had an art studio. All the art was gone. Of course, that person is still alive. So compared to the other people, this person says, I'm in luck. As for the children, like I said, there were a lot of sirens for hours on end, and then there were a number of parents who actually took their children to the site. And whereas a few people were rescued, one even after 12 hours, a number of people weren't rescued at all. And well, then they have these big colored boxes, and that's where they transport the bodies in. And at first, they didn't know who they were. They didn't know who the casualties were, just like they couldn't identify the people who were in the hospitals. So now they know who everyone is, so that's a good thing. And like I said, there was immediate communication. Our king and queen were on holiday. Their oldest daughter, who one day is going to be queen, it turned 21. And well, they returned too. I mean, our king has grown up in The Hague. And he was devastated, and I can understand that. So many people have been working around the clock, and one specific occupation I want to address. So apart from all the police officers who are there, the social workers, the caseworkers, so per household there's one caseworker. There are, as for the other occupation, we are talking about the ones who are maneuvering and managing the cranes. So first they had to be very careful to make sure that they could rescue people who are still underneath the rubble. Then second of all, they had to make sure that the whole other remains wouldn't collapse to the other parts of the structure. After saving and taking away everything, because they needed to know right up until the basement whether everyone had been rescued, the next thing they had to do was stabilize the structure. So after having gone through the rubble, which was done by CSI and police, they took all the rubble and they poured it into the basements, so the remaining buildings do not collapse. And going there, so there's a big fence around it. They put a black vinyl cloth around the fences, so you cannot immediately see what's going on. Now, as for the people who did witness it, because they live across the street, those apartment buildings are high. So luckily, where the explosion happened, it was only like 4 stories. But everyone could see it, and they still can. So the crane workers, they are working around the clock. I don't know if they still are. I mean, when I saw them last Tuesday, they still were. The goal is to rebuild everything as quickly as possible, so everything will remain stable, and the best way is to put a building back in place. But of course, well, there are still things going on, and it's weird to see all the mess, all the debris, all the rubble, walls which have been taken down so you can look into the rooms of the people. On one of the pictures, they showed an open closet because windows had been blown out, doors had been blown out, walls had been blown out. When I came there was still a car, a front shield, window shield. These are moments that I'm like, I don't talk that much about the front windows of a car, but there's a specific word for it. So that is in the car too, or in the tree, actually. And since the store was a bridal store, there were a lot of bridal dresses in the trees as well. How weird. I didn't see those dresses. That's not important either. What I did see were all the buildings where people had their shops. You know, all the windows gone, doors gone, entire corners gone. So I guess we're in luck that only 5 apartment buildings exploded, the ones on top of that one shop. And, well, next door was a cafe. And, well, those apartment buildings on top of that cafe were gone too. And like I said, 19 apartment buildings were no longer available, as in they couldn't live there anymore. So yes, it has quite the impact. Now, why was this so devastating? Because this is an area, this is a neighborhood where everyone knew one another. I mean, I know my neighbors, but you know, it's not uncommon to not know your neighbors. My neighbors actually made an effort that we would know them, because we know that in a big city, most of us don't know our neighbors at all. So when our house got built, a number of neighbors said, okay, let's go and get together. So that's what we do. Every beginning of the year, we get together. But these people, they knew one another. I talked to the previous bar owner. He said, I would still get here, you know, say hello to the people. He knew all the people. And the one who wanted to run into the fire to save the kid, same story. He knew all the people. So many people knew all the people, especially the volunteer. So many people knew her as well. So it's a huge blow to the whole community. Like I said, getting back to the children. So the children of one of my friends, they are at that school as well. Well, there are multiple schools there. So I asked during dinner, I said, so what did they tell you at school? Well, then of course there came all the assumptions, like, well, there had to be drug lab or something, which wasn't the case. And there were some other stories. And, well, I wanted to know how they were doing. So for those who lost their classmates, and I think there was only one missing, actually, which was the 8-year-old boy. They had stuffed animals and everything, and they made sure they could talk about it. And they let the parents stay. So they had to come with initially. So it was easier for them to make the transfer to being at school again. So yes, there's a lot going on, as in for all those people. And having seen like full blown not knowing what to do next, because you cannot it's so much to handle, and you cannot process what has happened. Things are happening and you're on autopilot. It's sort of like for me when my dad died, and especially when my mom had died, I was on autopilot too. And well, these people, they'd lost everything. I mean, I had a place to go back to because, well, my mom lived on her own in her own house. And, well, my dad, he died in the hospital, but we were able to say goodbye, which made a lot of difference. But these people were like, their life was over as they knew it, and they had to rebuild a new life. Now, of course, that can come with opportunities. But, well, that's looking at it from a very positive aspect and also in the long run. So a lot of people are outraged because they know the other people, because they saw it happening, because their houses were shaking. And, well, we know about 19 apartment buildings where people cannot stay. We know about the immediate damage, but of course, there's going to be damage in the long run too. You can just count on it. But the question is, where can those people go to? So I actually signed up as a volunteer to be the one who can listen to other people if they want to. So I said, I'm a coach, I'm a therapist. If there are people who need someone to listen to them, I'm there. I actually gave one person a huge hug, which lasted a couple of minutes, and I could feel her relax slowly, which was good. So I'm known to be a good hugger. So, yeah. I went to my friend and her kids afterwards. And I was kind of quiet during the evening. And it's weird because, well, I ended up posting something about the explosion on Instagram. And actually, there is a short on YouTube. And I also recorded a longer video on YouTube where at the end you can actually see the remains of, well, the gaping hole where the apartment buildings were. You can see the crane engineers working round the clock. And like I said, kudos to them because it was very emotional to them too. So they did, when everyone had been found, they organized an evening for all the people who were involved. So from 911 to police officers, paramedics, hospital personnel, firemen, everyone involved. They went to a meeting to get together and talk with one another. And I think that was very important. And in the meanwhile, I was still posting about clarity, which is weird because things do go on. So I'll honestly say I slept a lot this week, probably because I'm processing it too. I might not be involved, but like I said, I know the neighborhood and I come there multiple times a week. But seeing the devastation in the eyes of the people, I think that is what got to me most. Them just wandering around like, okay, this has happened and we don't know how we're going to go on. They just don't know. And that's why it's so wonderful that so much money has been raised. And, well, they also collected clothes and furniture and other stuff. So one of the other buildings is packed now. I don't know if it still is, but it was packed. And well, you can see how much do people care for one another. In such a short time, so much money has been donated. I mean, that's amazing. And it shows that people are, well, they are very involved, especially those who are in adjacent areas. So, like I said, everyone could hear it. Actually, a few cities further away, people saw the explosion from their balcony, like this big mushroom of, well, debris collapsing, because a lot of people were on their way to work. Yes, people do work on the weekends. So what it has shown me, besides the impact it has had on the community and all those people and also individually, it has once again shown me that we don't know how life will continue. I mean, a decade ago, I tripped on a brick. I couldn't stand on 2 feet anymore. I could walk on 1 foot and a few toes. And even that was hard. I couldn't sit. I couldn't stand. It hurt all the time. And it took me a long time before the pain was actually gone. And I needed 2 surgeries for that to happen. And ever since, I've had one incident after the other one, which is directly relatable to the loss of balance and the lack of balance in my entire body. So the things I used to do, I can no longer do. That's, having said so, I still do the things that I want to do. I had to adapt. And that's what I've done. So that's good. And even though I wanted to go online and do these kind of things that I'm doing right now, before it happened, I do believe that this made things happen quicker. And of course, I now help people who don't see any perspective anymore. And well, they're ready to opt out. And I'm there to talk to them and make them aware that they are worth it, that they're worth being listened to. And that's why, it's so unfair that this has happened, but then so many unfair things have happened throughout the entire world. I mean, life isn't a walk in the park. And if you're lucky, you've got a good life. And well, a lot of people are not so lucky. So we have to deal with what we've been given, because there is no other choice. It's survive or end of story. Now, having said all of this, I have this month, the month of clarity. So I've got a clarity challenge going on. As opposed to the previous years, I am not doing a live every day. Instead, I am creating lessons, and every day someone gets access to the next lesson. So from the moment that they register, then every day they get access to a lesson, and every few days to modules. So every module has a few lessons in there. And well, for me, that meant learning a lot of things as well, like Well, I've done multiple courses, but one of the things that I've been struggling with was where can people register? Well, I've got links now. I don't like the way they are called, but there are probably ways to make very nice sounding links, but it works. So, but there were a lot of things that initially didn't work that I didn't know about. So internationally, people use Stripe, especially in the US, and that's nice because credit cards and all are linked to it. I can't get it to work. Fortunately, I can get PayPal to work, so that's good. And I'm happy that there were people who told me so. As for the emails, there's something that's called a funnel. So you give people a freebie and then they sign up and then you can offer them something and you can send a number of emails. Those things are still in the works. What I am doing, I set up a bunch of emails at the beginning. So people would get an email like every day. So that would be for 31 days because December has 31 days. And I realized pretty quickly that the automation of the prototype emails outran me. So that wasn't nice. So I've given up on writing the emails. I need to do it in a different way. I'm still thinking about it. The multitude of sleep, of course, doesn't help that much. But I am still focused on it. So at some point, I did post later than I normally do. I think I skipped one day and then the next day I did 2 posts because I just, I came home and I slept and then I had to do stuff and I fell asleep again. That's my way of the brain processing things. So in addition, I got my new braces last week and I'm still learning how to walk with those braces and how to work with them, as in how to put them on and take them off. They are kind of similar, but not entirely. So I'm still like, hey, how do I walk when I use them? I can already feel the advantage of those braces. So they are huge. I feel like it's an exoskeleton for me walking. So I cannot walk quickly. I still cannot walk quickly. So this week I had dinner with my brother and we walked across a fair, a Christmas fair, not too far from the disaster site. And, it's so unreal. It's so unrealistic that there's a fair and you can get all the nice snacks and other stuff. And people are laughing and are having a good time. And that not much further, there are people who are just, they are looking like, what has happened to me, because they still cannot process it. And well, I've noticed that, when I wake up, the first thing I actually do is look at it, look at the newspaper articles, like what's there, what new things do they have, and well, every day they do come up with something. There's some story related, whether it's survivors or because of the fundraising they're doing for the 8-year-old. There are so many stories they are sharing at this moment. And of course, we all want to know about the culprits. And I do believe that we also want to know, why did they do it and why was it so immense? So was this an after effect? So they didn't calculate on other explosives or accelerants being there? Is that what happened? Were they just careless? Like I said, it's unimaginable that people do these kind of things. So yes, on one hand, I was busy with that part, and on the other hand, I am busy with the clarity challenge. And I have to say, I've learned a lot, like how to do it in the most efficient way, but also how to process things. And what if your mind is elsewhere? How do you get back to what it is that you need to do? And how can you remain in good spirits when there is so much going on around us? Well, the good news is it's still out there for those who want to sign up. It's 31 days, and after that, you can just repeat it again. And then you basically go to the next level because you learn about yourself every time you take on an assignment working on a dream or a goal. And once you've achieved one goal, then you go to the next one and a bigger one and a bigger one. And doing so, it gives you clarity, it gives you perspective. As you might know, I've been working on getting this place clutter free for the last couple of months, probably. And well, the one friend I was talking about, he lives close by. Well, actually, she lives on the other side of town. But compared to all my other friends, that's close by, because most people, they are like 1 or 2 hours, sometimes even 3 hours driving from me. And I'm not talking about those who actually live in another country or at the other side of the pond. I've been able to do things I haven't been able to do here because I've been sorting things out. That was also one of the reasons that I actually went to that center, because there's a lot of stuff that can go to other people. And it was like, well, maybe they need something. Well, actually, they needed something for their extended memory. So things to write on, um, you know, like little notebooks and pens. So if it's correct, then my friend has talked to the director of the school and they should have brought something over. I was planning on bringing something over today, but eventually I didn't go there. I didn't go to the physical therapist. I did get up, but there was a huge traffic jam, which is kind of normal at the end of the week. So I might go there tomorrow. I don't know yet. I'll see. But for now, it's important that things go on. And well, one of the things that I actually created a couple of years ago, I'm going to show you this, is it's called a Christmas Angel. And you can download it for free. And the goal is that you actually use it, that you download it. So this is what it looks like. So you can basically print it, you can pimp it, you can hold it next to your head with a little message and saying like, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, finish the year strong. But it also says here, hugs, send your way. And it says, you are not alone. So when I wrote it down, I also wrote down inclusion. But this is about people who have lost their loved ones or who, for some reason, ended up alone. People who are not optimistic by nature. And, well, they struggle to go through life every day again and again and again. For those people is that Christmas Angel. And like I said, you can download that Christmas Angel if you want to. I'll make sure that there is a link in the description. Of course, if you still want to join the challenge, you can do that too. It's not necessarily meant to be done specifically in December, but I do believe that this month is a month where we can look at things. What have we done this last year, or maybe even the last couple of years? I mean, we're going to 2025, right? So what have you achieved? What have you accomplished? What was it that you wanted to work on? And what is it you still want to do? So let's finish the year strong and start the year with a boost. And that brings me back to the other people. I don't know how they are going to spend their holidays because they are in a strange environment. Fortunately, they have places to go to. The 8-year-old is staying with family. And well, he's got a community behind him, so that's good too. But yes, what is it that you have been working on, dreaming about, that you couldn't do? What do you need clarity on? What do you need clarity for? And well, I go into these things which are related to tools. So how can you figure out which negative beliefs you've got, which negative mindsets? So those are things holding you back because you are more inclined to believe those things than a positive outcome. I talk a lot about subconscious mind and how to get answers and information from the subconscious mind. I talk about the inner kid because the inner kid is the one who used to have the dreams, but also has experienced a lot that they don't understand, like, for instance, that 8-year-old, but also other children. They have experienced that explosion and they have to live with certain fears. The question is, are they going to remain in survival mode their entire life? So it's important to find out what is holding you back. What is telling you, never mind, don't even try and begin doing it. Instead, do the other thing, which is usually not the positive thing, or do nothing at all. That's an option too. I want you to take action and to make the most of life as possible, not only because it's December, but also because of the story I just shared, because in a split second, things can change. I'm going to ask you to please download this for the people who need it. If you know there are people alone, then go and, even if you have this one on your phone and you color it, then you can take a picture with this next to you and saying like, oh, this is so, I want it on this side, but I'm a little distracted. There we go. Hey. And you can show it and you can be like, best wishes and especially a hug. I know there are a lot of people out there who need a hug right now. So send them the Christmas angel. And, if you have got nothing to do, and especially when you have children, print it, let them pimp it and send it to someone else. But it's a way. I've actually explained a couple of things that you can do. Print it, actually write something on there, send it by snail mail. So that's the actual mail. And then, of course, you can send a picture or you can send it by email, whatever it is you want. There are so many options and you can instantly be in touch with other people. But by making it personal, by coloring it, writing something down, you make it special for the person you sent it to. So I want you to think about that one thing that you want to do, but you haven't thought about, or you have thought about it, but you You just set it aside like, I don't know how to do it. I don't know where to start. Well, if you don't know, then this is the time to sign up for the December Clarity Challenge. And again, be sure to get that angel out there, because there are a lot of people who need a little boost. They need some positivity. So both links can be found in the description. And well, I'm curious what your one thing is that you want to work on. And well, just imagine for a moment that you only have like a few months left, or maybe a few days. What is it that you would like to leave behind? Do you want to leave behind a legacy? Is it something that you want to do? Something you want to experience? Is it something you want to say to someone else? Think about that. I'll see you again next week. And of course, I post every day on Instagram. So go to Lady Lexi Speaks Up on Instagram. There are also videos on YouTube, Lady Lexi Speaks Up. So check it out. And again, join the Clarity Challenge or give it as a gift to someone else. I mean, this is the time that we give valuable things to people. So let's give them something that they can actually use. I'll see you again next week. Work on yourself. Go do it.